Nostalgia is pretty damn cool. I know that it usually gets a bad rap, but like when it comes to video games, having a title that reminds you of the old days while still feeling new is a hard thing to capture. In other mediums like books or movies, it's hard to return to the past effectively. While movies may have their roots in their predecessor, it's unheard of to do it without the use of modern aesthetics. The indie market in particular has thrived on nostalgic game design, almost to a fault, creating new and unique twists on anything from Metroidvanias to RPGs, which is super awesome. I'm not being disingenuous by any means. It's a goddamn shame we probably won't get a new Paper Mario that's like the old ones, or new isometric CRPGs because they won't sell Modern Warfare numbers, but these studios are out here doing just that. Alright, I'm obscuring the point to make commentary on the industry. Sorry. I'm saying that Horizon Chase Turbo does that with classic, simple, fast as fuck racing games. The type that have big cabinets at bowling alleys that only get used by 10-year-olds pumping quarters into them while they wait to be picked up by their mom, you know? The kind that has those big seats that are just full to the brim with sweat in all of its pores and the shifter knob doesn't really work right. The kind that launch with the Super Nintendo or remind you of a time when all Sega did was go fucking fast. In a time where racing games have become more and more complicated, where racing wheels and simulation takes charge, Horizon Chase Turbo is refreshingly simple. There's no reverse, no complicated upgrade system. There's an accelerator, some laps, and some boost, and that's pretty much all you need to know. I'm not gonna have to go strategically brake into corners and take pit stops. This isn't Project Cars, a game that definitely has its place for sure, but not always what I'm looking for. Well, at first it's not like that. There isn't just a get first or get lost attitude about Horizon. Instead, it opts for a high score point system as well. Collectible coins are scattered throughout tracks in different places, and fuel conservation all play a part, meaning you're gonna have to sacrifice that perfect line and potentially get past to ensure the highest score possible. It's a nice little risk versus reward that isn't really present in a lot of other racing games in the same way. And it is a serious risk. Horizon Chase Turbo is really fast. Like seriously, eye-blindingly fast. Not in a way that's stressful or uncompetitive or wonky, it just feels like the best parts of F-Zero crossed with sitting in the left lane on a road trip, passing cars endlessly, trying hard to balance having fun, and keeping your eyes out for a cop car sitting at the side of the road. Does that make sense? I like driving fast, and at a time when I'm not getting out very much, Horizon captured the feeling quite a bit, and it does a good job at balancing speed without being too punishing when you mess up. It's not an easy game by any means, but it's not exactly unfair. With the races being fairly short and fun, they feel more in line with Guitar Hero songs than complicated racing affairs, a statement often said about Outrun and even F-Zero. You remember the hard parts, the places it twists and turns. There's a rhythm to master. Did I get all the tokens? Save my gas? Get that very tricky to master boost at the beginning? Didn't crash? All of these factor into an ideal run you're constantly moving towards. And as a result, it definitely does mean there are races you're simply going to be unable to win on your first try. That being said though, it's definitely not perfect. The gaps between car unlocks is a little bit bigger than it should be, which does encourage that replayability, but they don't feel different enough to make it worth it. Also, I'm very rarely braking, and I'm not feeling enough of a change with weather effects. I understand that this is a game that rewards track memorization, so it's definitely not ideal to have something that random, but having some slicker spots to avoid would go a long way. That coupled with an upgrade system that isn't complicated but also doesn't really feel like a difference makes Horizon Chase Turbo not shallow, but definitely not as in-depth as it should be. It lends itself super well to short bursts rather than extended binges, which definitely explains the mobile ports and timed events.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
Also, I know that Outrun had some legal troubles over the Ferrari Testarossa, so I'm impressed at how unquestionably recognizable these cars are. Unlike Burnout, which created unique designs with their own brands, Horizon has done nothing to shy away from the recognizable silhouettes of cars that have importance and popular in racing culture. This is super cool, because they aren't huge performance changes, having them be an interesting aesthetic choice goes a long way. Right, so why talk about this? Well, I got it for free on PlayStation Plus almost a year ago, and I started following the developer Aquiris on Twitter shortly after, and they seem impressively invested in this game, providing killer support and community development, and snagging up the former Top Gear composer on the way. I know that Top Gear is like super culturally important in Brazil, which is where Aquiris is from, so I definitely understand it, but its success and constant updates for a relatively small studio is nothing shy of impressive, and I want other people to give this a shot. I've been playing it off and on for a while now, and it's definitely not something I will would have thought to buy. But if you're into nostalgic racing games, then this really is a good bet. And maybe down the road we'll start to see more of them. Maybe even one that captures 2000 tuner culture. I don't know, sounds like a pretty good idea, Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you like hearing me talk about like car stuff, you're gonna really enjoy this video about product placement.